Good morning, PA Figs here from sunny Naples, Florida. Visiting my parents that live here and thought I'd show you some of the fruits they have down here in their yard. This one first is everybody's favorite. This is a black Madeira KK. And here we are in, beginning of March. And it's already got pretty developed figs on it. This one you can see is in a pot on their back patio, or lanai, or whatever they call it down here. And it's ahead of all the other figs they have in pots around the yard. I'm guessing because of the heat. But you can see it's got a lot of figs, a lot of spiders, but a lot of figs on it and really dark leaves. I guess they either like the fertilizer that my father's putting in here or really likes the amount of sun it gets, I suppose. But yeah, he's going to have ripe figs, I would imagine, probably by May. If not earlier, so very jealous. And here's a small Bordeaux Negra Ramada cutting that I gave him a few months ago. You can see it started to root. So it looks like it's doing pretty well. I mean, the soil he uses, this thing's got to weigh, geez, I don't know, 20 pounds? It's a thick soil, but seems to be working for him. Well, except for this one. This cutting was a black Madeira cutting he took from his tree, and you can tell it rotted, too much water. So I keep trying to tell him the lighter soil, but he says it's working, so I can't argue too much with him. Alright, let's go see what other fruits they have. Alright, here's what we call their fig house. So it's just a old carport that they put netting over. They were having a terrible time with birds and squirrels eating their figs. So they put them in here. And we've been here for a few days, and I can tell you that the figs that have the leaves on them back there, they had no leaves at the beginning of this trip. And you can see over here, this one is just starting to bud out. So this is, their time for spring, similar to ours. Even though their winters are warm, I mean, it rarely gets much below 60 here. But the figs still go dormant. You can see the amount of growth this guy's had. It's probably time for him to trim it in that small pot, but a lot of growth on these figs. The black Madeira KK has put out a lot of fruit for him, but it hasn't put out nearly as much growth. And then it looks like we've got a couple of straggly old eggplants over here that are just hanging on, not doing too much, but I saw a flower on one the other day. It doesn't look like it's set, probably because there's nothing to really pollinate it in this enclosure here. But yeah, figs down here in Florida and in pots. You would think they'd get too hot, but they seem to do pretty well. Let's go check out some of the other fruit. Alright, this is their kumquat. It's a little past season. You can see there's a few kumquats on it. It's normally loaded, but small fruit, very sour. The peel on it is actually sweeter than most things, so I actually like to eat it with the peel. But this tree is normally, well, you can see they're starting to get some on here, but this tree tends to be loaded. He just harvested most of the fruit off of it about a month ago for jam. He likes to make jam out of the kumquat, so. Alright, let's move on. Alright, and here is their passion fruit vine. It's gotten a little out of control. I think this is only, well, it was decimated back to the ground pretty much with the hurricane, what was that, last year, so I think it's grown pretty well since then. One of Teresa's favorite.
Yes, it is.
What's it called in Hawaii, Teresa?
Lilikoi.
Lilikoi. So let's go take a look. I don't think there's any ripe, but there's some getting close. We're just going to miss them, I think. Let's see right here. There's what the fruit look like. This is the yellow variety. There's also a purple variety. I haven't had enough experience with them. Whoa, and that is a big spider web. I don't know if you can see that, but
Ew.
let me get rid of that. Jeez. Okay. A few more over here. I haven't had a real direct comparison or a lot of experience with passion fruit. We do like them, but the ones you get at the store are never all that great. That's a little scale or what there. Little insect marks on there, but yeah, Lilikoi. Not a lot of fruit on it right now. He normally has a ton of them. It might be the wrong time of the season. I'm not real familiar with the seasons down here in Florida because they are dramatically different than the seasons that we have in Pennsylvania. But yeah, passion fruit. All right, so here is a sugar apple. Just purchased about 6 months ago. Not looking too great, but you can see a little bit of new growth coming out here. So hopefully the roots are getting established. And hopefully this one will come back and keep on strong. Okay, and then very popular in Florida, this is one of his mangoes. You can see it is flowering now. Not seeing a lot of, well, there's some insects up there, hopefully pollinating, but not an awful lot. Let's see if there's any that have set yet. Oh, actually I take it back. If you look, there's some flies up there pollinating as we speak. Alright, I don't see any set on this one yet. Might be a little bit too early for it, but a lot of flowers. So hopefully we'll have some delicious mangoes this summer. Tree's doing pretty well. Alright, and this is his soursop or sour apple. Same thing, this one he said had very few leaves on it. It's just starting to bud out and come back. It's a newer tree. I think he got it last year, and I think they just take a while to get their root systems out here and get situated before they really start to perform. So not much to show on that one. All right, and this is his piña mango, and you can see this one's a little further ahead. There's actually a little bit of fruit set going on up here. You can see that there's 1 or 2 mangoes that are set. Not a lot. He may have to do something to get the pollination to improve here. Attract some flies, or whatever he has to do to get some insects on there. Because there's a few mangoes set, but boy, not very many. And you can see over here, I don't know if there's any set on this cluster here. So definitely having a little bit of a pollination issue that he's going to have to work on. There's 1 set on this entire branch here. Alright, next we've got a Sapodilla. This was supposed to be a Chico Sapodilla, but the fruit on it is awfully large. There's a lot of different types of Sapodilla. Let's see if I can find one that's somewhat ripe. There's supposed to be at least 1 large one that's got to be close. Let's see. Holy cow. That is very big. So let's see here. So the way you tell if a Sapodilla is ripe is you scrape a little bit of the rind off. Just sort of like when you're scraping a fig branch to see if it's alive. If it comes up green, like this one did, see that there? It's not ripe. If it comes up brown, it's ripe. So that one's not ripe. Let's see, what about this guy? Give it a little scrape, and you can see it's green still, so not ready to be eaten. I really like the Sapodillas though. They're kind of like a brown sugar pear flavor. The texture is a little bit strange. It takes a bit of getting used to. It's like a grainy sand type of texture. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna have any ripe ones today. He shares a lot of the fruit with his neighbors, so it's first come, first serve, and we may not be the first to come today. That one's still got green on it as well, so it doesn't look like there's going to be any Sapodillas ripe today. Bummer. Alright, and then right next to us here is the lychee tree. Lychee tree struggled for the first 1.5 years he had it, but now is doing really well. Unfortunately though, it didn't flower. It normally should flower in January or February, and not a single flower on it. So we may have to read up a little bit for him on how to get a lychee tree to flower. If you have a lychee tree and you have any ideas, feel free to post in the comments below. But it's a pretty big tree, doing well, just no buds. We did cut it back a little bit. I told him to cut it back to see if it would flush a little, but nothing. So he's got new growth, just no flowers on it. Alright, the next tree is one that surprised me. I'd never really heard much about it, but this is a Loquat. And it's kind of like a sweet and sour... What would you say, Teresa? Like a sweet and sour tangerine, or... Not tangerine, peach or nectarine or something like that?
Maybe.
Let's see if I can find one. It's ripe. These are soft, even though they're all yellow. These will get a little soft when they're ripe.
A little tiny bit soft, but not.
Let's see. Not really. Alright, let's see. It's got to be a ripe one with all these yellow ones. Somewhere. Let me pause it and get back to you. Fruit stuff. Ready? So this is Loquat. I think these two might be ripe, or at least close enough to eat. They have like a fuzzy outside. I like to rub that fuzz off. I just don't like the way it you can see it here. Don't like the way it feels.
It's like a peach.
It's kind of like a peach, yeah. And Teresa doesn't mind the skin. I'm 50-50 on it, so I tend to just peel off what I can. It peels pretty easily. Just like that. So it gives you flesh that's kind of like a peach or a nectarine, but it's a little bit more citrusy, a little bit more sour. Well, I really like it. And there's some stones in it you gotta get rid of. But very, very tasty. Yep, so Loquat. I think if you can grow it, it's definitely worth growing. It's pretty delicious. It's probably one of my favorite fruits in my dad's yard, other than at least winter fruits. You know, the mango is ripen in the summer, but the Loquat ripen in the winter here, so it's pretty nice to offset the mango season. Definitely worth having. All right, and this is his guava tree. Produces some massive, massive guavas. And it's usually somewhat fragrant too, which is nice. And these are kind of small compared to some of the size he normally gets, but it's a pink guava. And I continue to learn my lesson with guavas in that the seeds are not edible. I should take that back. The seeds are edible as long as you don't try to chew them. They're like little tiny rocks in the fruit. The fruit, when you slice it open, is amazingly perfumed. I mean, it's one of the best smelling fruits I've ever smelled. And when you cut it open, it looks kind of like a, almost like a small watermelon inside. The difference is the watermelon seeds you normally spit out, but in guava the seeds are very, very small, so you're not gonna be able to go through them all. So you have two options. You can sort of eat around the seed because the seeds are concentrated more in the middle, or you can do what a lot of people do and it's just swallow the seeds. Don't try to chew them, just swallow them. I kind of haven't found my preference yet. What we have discovered is you can't leave the fruit on to ripen too long, because for whatever reason there's a nice flower getting ready to be pollinated, but he gets worms in the guava. So as soon as they start to turn yellow on the outside, he's got to pick them and then bring them inside, because otherwise when he lets them ripen too long, for whatever reason, worms develop in the fruit. You see little pock marks on the outside, but only fruit he has that problem with right now, so it's kind of interesting. Okay, and this is his avocado. This was devastated by the hurricane. We were actually surprised it grew back. It really just had like a little stick and that was it. But it seems to be coming back here, so you can see the flowers are out, looking to get pollinated. So he should have some avocados this year if he's lucky. So it's, there's kind of two seasons. There's stuff that grows in the winter here and stuff that grows in the summer. All right, here's their small grove of bananas, regrowing after the hurricane. They don't do too great over here. I think he probably isn't getting enough water to them. They're not on any type of irrigation. But you can see they're hanging on. They're putting out some new leaves, so Now is their wet season coming up, so they should start to grow from there. But yeah, my guess would be just not quite enough water on them. So we haven't gotten any bananas. We did get some bananas from my aunt that lives down here. We'll have to see if we can get a quick video shot of them.